people, people at the quick stops and the subways and the library that way too. Stopped at the library that day, and hopefully those of you on the bus tour will get to see the library this afternoon. I was impressed by the facility when I drove by, so I stopped, turned around, went back, and went in and began to inquire about different things of the community. And yeah, they looked at me like I was crazy, you know. But it was a good experience. I got the information that I was looking for, and then I was off and went on to Mobile. And what attracted me and what made me come this way down 43 obviously was the opportunity to see the TK site under development at that time. That announcement had just been made, I believe, prior to my interview. And I knew there was other industry along the corridor as well too. And that attracted me. As an economic developer, you know, I think you have to have that strong industrial base to grow, but you also need a good quality of life, and that was the mixture that I was looking for. That's what attracted me to this area. That's still what attracts me to this area, and that's still why I believe strongly that we're here today to talk about those assets and those strengths and the good things that are going on here in Washington County. I was sharing with April coming up on the bus today that oftentimes when people come through Washington County, they come up 43 and they're going on to wherever, to Jackson or to Thomasville or wherever. You don't even know that the industrial park exists. That's both good and bad. I mean, you know, it's a huge asset that we have in the county, but unfortunately sometimes when it's out of sight, it's also out of mind. So today we're going to talk about that and share that information with you. And I've asked each industry to do just a few things. One, give a brief history of their company in the region. Some of the industries have quite a history. They've been here a long, long time. Describe their operations, talk about the numbers of employees that they work, address any key expansions or significant investments that's been made or that's planned to be made in their operations, talk about any unique or unusual characteristics about their operation that can be shared, obviously. Some may not can be shared. And any unique or unusual characteristics about the region that impacts their operations. So with those few key points in mind, I want to just jump right into this and get started with our industry. And we'll just begin with Alabama Power. Mr. Johnny Weaver, if you'll just come up and share some information with us about Alabama Power.
Okay. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Like Jesse said, my name is Johnny Weaver. I'm the office manager at Citronelle branch of Alabama Power. Been with the power company for almost 30 years. And at the power company, we're not immune to downturns in the economy, regardless of what people think. You know, when I go to places, people say, well, you don't know anything about hard times, you work for the power company. But that's not true, because we have hard times during these times just like everybody else does. But just for a moment, my operations, I run everything from Bear Steam Plant to the Washington County line to the Mississippi State line on the west side. A lot of miles, a lot of windshield times when you go from one end of service territory to the other. Got about 6,500 customers, about 20 employees, and our goal is to provide a quality service for a reasonable price, to make sure that our employees are safe in doing that. And being safe, you know, we mean not only safe in them doing their job, but when they leave a job, it's safe for your family. Everything is done in a professional manner. You don't have to worry about your house burning down because we left off a clamp somewhere. You know, we constantly strive to make sure that we do the little things, and it was like Jesse talking about in the town, it's the front people that make the biggest impact. And we feel like a lot of times it's our people out in the field that has the greatest impact on our service and who we are, because it's the little things that they do that make us look good. Talking about safety, we have one of the best safety records that I know of anyway, and I'm really, really proud of that. But to tell you where we are now versus where we were 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we used to celebrate the fact that we didn't have 10 accidents during the year. We'd have a goal. And if we met that goal, you know, if the goal was 10 and we only had 8, we celebrate. You know, that's not right. Somewhere down the line, the light went on and said, God, that's not right. Because if you only had 8, that meant 8 families had to suffer. You know, some kid had to suffer because his daddy couldn't work. Some wife had to do without because her husband was laid up and didn't have the income that they were used to. So we instituted a program called Target Zero. And what our goal is to have no accidents, no recordables, and no fatalities. Now, if you do that, your culture has really got to change, because we were celebrating 10, and now we say 0. But we were celebrating 20, and now we're going to say 0. And we knew it was going to be a culture shock for a lot of our employees and a hard thing to say. But what we decided to do is we're going to make this thing 24/7. If you're going to have 0 accidents, you might as well extend it to the home also. Because if you get hurt at home and you can't work, what difference does it make? You're not at work the next day. So that is our philosophy at Alabama Power, is that we try to make sure that instead of just giving tailgates about line work, doing JSA before you do a job, making sure you do everything right at work, we also talk about things like when you're barbecuing in the backyard, make sure you got your flammables out of the way. You know, when you're at the swimming pool, make sure that there's a lifeguard or somebody responsible there. You know, we take it to that next level. We just don't leave it at work. We make sure that we do things, we talk about things that'll make you safe at home. Talking about us not being immune to downturns in the economy, I'll give you an example. We've got 2 call centers. We've got one in Montgomery and one in Birmingham. We employ just under 200 people in those 2 call centers. In this past August, one day alone, we had 12,000 calls. 12,000. Now, 80% of those calls are from people that are having trouble paying the power bill. That's a lot of people. You know, 12,000 in one day. We did 320,000 for the month of August compared to 310,000 August of 08. So we increased 10,000 calls same month over a year's period. That tells me that everybody's struggling, or a lot of people struggle. And I, in my office at Central L, see people that have had power with Alabama Power for 30 or 40 years that have never had to ask to hold their bill. Can you make arrangements with me? I can't afford to pay it this month. You know, my husband got laid off. I'm seeing those kind of questions every day. Every day. And it's good people. It's good people that are asking those questions. So, with this economic development in this area, we're hoping that we can do some things, Jesse, that will help increase the workforce, and so we'll lessen those types of calls. We don't want those calls. I just do not have one. I wish I didn't have any. But the fact of the matter is, we do. One of the biggest things we've got going on at Alabama Power right now is probably outside of us building the nuclear plant in Florida when we built it, is we've got a program to install smart meters. And it started in January of 08, and hopefully by January of 2012, we'll be through. And what we plan to do is we plan to install 4 million smart meters. Now, you say, what is a smart meter? Well, what we did is we took a cell phone and a computer, if you can imagine that, and we got all the best of both of them, and we put them together. Now, what will those meters allow us to do? It'll allow us to read the meter without sending somebody to your house. It will allow us to get a reread. If you call in and you think you're reading wrong, every 15 minutes, it sends us a read. We can pull the script and look at the readings every 15 minutes for the last, ever how long you want it. We don't have to have 500 vehicles on the road, which helps the environment. We save on fuel. There's just so many things, and eventually, one day, what we hope these smart meters are going to allow us to do is to let you determine or help you manage your energy use. If you say you're at home at night most of the time and you want to do some washing and cooking and cleaning late at night when our generating plant over Barry's at probably 50%, then we can sell you that power cheaper if you want to start at 9 o'clock and go to 3 o'clock the next morning.